Hello there. Today we are going to be talking about the fact that making an impact does not mean or include making a mess. What am I talking about here? Yeah, because unfortunately there is this very common false belief that in order to make an impact in whatever thing in your life, with your career, with your business, your family, like it's got to be big, it's got to be seen, and creating all this visibility. And it often creates a huge mess. And I'm here to tell you that that does not have to happen. In fact, big impact, big things can come in small, quiet packages. Think about that for a moment, right? It does not have to be big and or complicated. All right. So my name is Patricia, and if you are here, please hit the thumbs up, the like, and subscribe so that we can push this out to other women, leaders, professionals, business owners, folks who are trying to get somewhere in their life and need that support and reminder to do things a little bit differently. And it doesn't have to follow conventional wisdom here, right? Okay, so how did this topic come? I always like to say how a topic came to fruition or how something showed up. And this one here, I don't know if it's just like one of those that just struck me because I've seen it happen over and over. There wasn't some specific event or incident recently that brought it out, but it's really this whole false conventional wisdom thing that we're literally taught. It's like, well, we got to be visible, we got to make an impact, we got to do all of this stuff. And guess what? Am I saying visibility matters in a career, in your business? Absolutely. So don't go telling someone Patricia said we don't have to be visible in order to be successful. That is not what I said. What I am saying, however, is that it has become the status quo to presume that to have real meaningful impact, that's equated to huge things being big, being visible in very notorious ways or whatever. And I say notorious because maybe it doesn't, you don't want to be notorious, but it does ends up feeling that way, right? And you see that out in the world where folks are just striving for that. I mean, I know there are a few people in my circle, God bless their souls, where I'm like, do you take a break? Like, I feel like you should take a break because you show up on my feed so much. I'm wondering if you take a break. Do you miss a day? Because even I have reached a point of, yeah, I'm not doing that today. I'm not going to post that today, or I'm going to go over here and quietly, message some people and have make my impact show up in a different way, in a way that is not visible to the public, right? And so that's my first little reminder warning, which is if you want to make a big impact, to show, that you have a certain set of skills, whatever, like you can do that, but it doesn't have to be big and flashy and messy. Because so many times that ends up being a mess, and then you have to deal with the mess, and you don't want to deal with that. What am I talking about? I mean, you know, I mean, launches. I'm going to use business for a minute because there was just this period of time in recent years, particularly in the online space, where it's like you got to host these big launches and do all of these things and do the thing for 5 days or these long workshops. And I'll own it. I fell into that rabbit hole a little bit. Now, never mind, the way I had been showing up previously still works. And I've reverted back to that. But that was the pressure, right? It's like, oh, you got to go do this, you got to do that. And if you didn't, and if you weren't, then it's like, oh, you're not really doing anything. You're not really successful. Meanwhile, I'm sitting over here looking at content from 2018 or, 6, 8 years ago, with people coming up to me randomly while I'm out in public, still saying, "Hey, I heard you speak at X, and I just want you to know I never got to tell you that really, impacted my life. I made, decision to go do XYZ as a result after that." Like, these are things that happen to me still today. It rarely does I won't say a week because I might miss a week, but rarely does it not happen at least a couple of times in a month where I will show up at something because I don't do all the events that I used to. I don't have the energy, I don't have the capacity, I don't have the desire, right? But I will still show up some things because, number one, I need to keep my skills, my relationship building skills, and I still need to be visible, but I don't have to be on the program or leading the thing in order to make my impact, right? I've learned this is a process through which you learn and develop, and I encourage you to do so early, right? Learn this early in your career so you don't burn yourself out. But I will go, and it normally goes something like this. "Hey, it's so good to see you in person. I'm normally listening to your live or your shows or your courses online, and I've really enjoyed them." I'm like, "You listen to my stuff?" And they're like, "Yeah." Sometimes it's someone I don't know or that I didn't know well who will come tell me that. The one that really surprises me are the people that I do know, have known. Maybe we may not be close, but I've known them professionally. We've served on boards together or whatever. They have followed my content that has showed up, and they're like, "Yeah, I always catch it whenever I can, or I go back to it." And I'm always dumbfounded. I am still dumbfounded every time that happens because haven't been led to believe that if I'm going to make an impact on someone's lives with helping them with their career, helping them with a transition, helping them with their business, or just, a little bit of practical wisdom for life, that I have to be, really out there and visible when it doesn't have to be that. They're listening to old content, y'all, not even like fresh stuff. These are the things I'm trying to tell you. It's about showing up, yes, but not in this big flashy way. It's more about making yourself available, delivering with authenticity, whatever the thing is you're going to be doing, and being purposeful about it and moving on to the next thing. Because you truly never know who's watching you. And you don't have to be making uh, a big flashy thing, big splash. That's the word I'm going for, in order for that to happen. One of the boards that I serve on, make sure my mic's on. Yes, because the other day I got going and my mic was not on and there was no sound. So I was at an event for one of the boards that I serve on, and one of the newer board members was in attendance, and she and I had not, we had chatted a little bit. I learned a little bit about her background. I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that's where you were, or these are the things." So I was like, "We need to chat some more at some point in time." Well, this was a perfect opportunity. It was a small happy hour environment, and so we got to chat things up a little bit. And I was kind of giving her my thoughts on some things, and she was like, "I just want you to know I really appreciate what you do for this board, because you will say the things that need to be said that others won't say." And I need for you to know that I really appreciate that. And I look forward to hearing what you have to bring and when you're offering something up. And I was like, wow, okay, thank you. I mean, that, because for me, that was going to influence a decision I need to make about some other things. But again, I'm just doing what I do in our board meetings, providing insight, because I've served on boards for 20, 30 years in this state, in this city. And so I kind of know some things from the experiences that I've had. Not trying to be Miss Know It All or whatever, but it was like I have lived experience with how to move forward with certain things that can be applied in this realm. And so I'm not in leadership on this board. I'm not trying to be in leadership. I've offered up my skill sets in some specific ways, yes. But I've learned that you can have just as much of an impact having private conversations with the folks who are in leadership, or having private conversations with folks who are growing and want to be leaders. Like that can be a huge way to make an impact in your field, in your space. That doesn't require huge visibility. You know, mentors and mentorships is a great way to do this. Some people don't do it correctly. So I always, if you want to know, I've got content on that, both being a mentor and being a mentee, and how those can be mutually beneficial. But being a mentor to someone, here's the thing: you could be serving as a mentor to someone and don't even know it yet, because they're watching you. They're saying, I've enjoyed how watching how she moves, or how he leads that team, or whatever it is. And they can have informally adopted you as a mentor just by watching how you're showing up. I've had that happen. I've done that with other things and people that I've never met. I consider them mentors, because people think you have to have this personal relationship with their mentor. No, it's about watching, learning, and growing from how they show up or showed up in their time and space. So I just want to make sure and remind you that you literally do not have to be making a big splash to have and make a big impact in someone's life, in someone's, in an organization, in your, with your career, right? And it's hard to disconnect that, you know, conventional wisdom. Y'all know I hate that. But that conventional wisdom thought of like, you got to go do this big thing in order to, have I done some big things in my life and career? Absolutely. I look back on it and I'm like, I cannot believe I was a part of that. But I didn't go seeking that. Most of the time, it was not because I sought the experience. I sought a position, right? Because I felt like there was something I could provide to it, and that I could lead in that moment. But some of the things that showed up as a result of that was not something I was prepared for. Probably would not have chosen a few times. There are probably a few big splashy things I would have preferred to stay out of. But being a person who's willing to make an impact behind the scenes can absolutely lead to you having that next level of visibility when you least expect it. Yeah, I think I'll say that. When you least expect it. So, am I saying, oh, well, you just need to be quiet and be a little, what is that, wallflower? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying, however, that you could probably manage your energy a little bit better and manage your capacity by not thinking that everything you do has to be big, splashy, visible in order for it to be meaningful. That is what I'm saying. That is not the case. You can uh, make meaningful impact in much quieter ways that will have a long tail on it. I mean, hello, I still have people coming up to me, like I said, off of old content, not even from something current. So, just something to think about. And so, if you're journaling or keeping up with some of these things, I want to encourage you to take a few moments and actually journal about that, right? It's like, where am I making an impact right now? Is it the impact that I want to be making? And if the answer is that is no, what is the impact that I really want to be making in my life, in my career, with my family, with my business? And how can I do that in smaller, more powerful, less visible ways that can have longevity? Think about it in those terms. And quite frankly, the rest of it will show up. It just will. If you're doing good work, if you're showing up in a meaningful way in someone's life, you the rest of that visibility, all of that will show up. It just will. It just will. So much more to be said there, but I'm going to stop there. Um, if you didn't catch it, my name's Patricia, and I love helping women, especially women who are professionals and entrepreneurs who are looking to empower their growth in a way that's, meaningful, but doing so with clarity, with authenticity, and on purpose, so that they can get out of feeling stuck doing stuff because someone else says they should do it, as opposed to meeting their own needs in order to achieve growth and achieve success in the way that they really want. So that's what I'm here for. And I look forward to sharing more empowering strategies and life strategies and a few just practical things that will help you to show up in a way that provides you with the clarity that you really desire. All right. Take care, everyone, and I will talk with you again tomorrow.